Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Welcome, everybody. It's time. Are you ready to have a vibrant day? Just like Alice is. She's got her pinkies up. She's ready to go. I'm glad you're here, by the way. It's Wise Women's Wednesday. And Wise Women's Wednesday, this is when we start putting and piecing together all the stuff that we've been talking about this week. And I will tell you, this is the moneymaker stuff, right? This is the stuff that makes this go, bam, I get it. Hey, Juanita, I'm glad you're here. Helen and Deborah, so good to have you here. Quote of the week, have you seen it? Nelson Mandela. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. I don't know about you, but I have fallen my fair share of times. And if we can remind ourselves that we need to get back up, because falling is just a part of the whole thing. It's what we do. There is our friend Joanne. Say hello to Joanne, everyone. I'm so glad to see you, Joanne. Catherine, you too. Glad you're here. We have our supplements of the week, by the way, are glycozyme and digestzymes. You can choose whichever one you want. Buy 3, get 1 free. You'll find them at thesavingdinner.com/announcements. Our announcements page has every little thing that you need to know about, including events coming up like Full Bloom, for example, and what else? Supplements of the week, and anything else, how to get our text messages, all of that business. So I want you to go take a look at it. Doris, hello. It's so good to have you here. Jocelyn, good to have you here as well. Who is coming to Full Bloom, by the way? Doris is here. Who is coming to Full Bloom? Let me know in the comments if you're coming. It'd be so great to have you here. Kathy, good to see you. There's our girl Amber. She fixed our TikTok. We got temporarily hiccuped today from TikTok, but we're back on and we're going to be going live here in just a minute there. And let's go ahead and do that right now, because it's nice to be live, isn't it? We are live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and right now we're live on TikTok. Welcome, everyone. It's good to have you here. Today, we're going to be continuing our series on Back to Basics. And Back to Basics is just basically, how do we build the foundation of the life that we want to live? How do we do it? How do we make that pathway to the place of having the kind of life that we really want? Not just going through the motions, but actual vibrancy. The kind of life that every single morning when you get out of bed, you're thinking to yourself, I cannot wait to embrace this day. How about that? Angie, good to have you here on Facebook. It's lovely to have you all here. Thank you for being here. Tanya, you too. Good to have you. And Diane is in the house as well. Say hello to Diane. So yesterday we talked about the 3 little pigs. Anybody here for the 3 little pigs? We told that story. And we told it in the way from the perspective really of the 3rd little pig and what he was all about. Hi, Crystal. It was just, I thought it was kind of a mind-blowing thing, because I read this story a while ago, that the psychological implications of that 3rd little pig and what he did for his brothers and what his mindset was all about. You know, this is what comes into play when we're starting to map out how to live a vibrant life. Because, you know, vibrant lives don't just happen. We don't shoot from the hip to get one. They're by design. They're on purpose and for purpose. And they are created by you, the owner of this little fleshy container. This is yours, you know? You don't get to trade it in like a car, by the way. This is yours. And the vibrancy that you have or don't have is all on you. Are you going to make it or are you not? Are you going to create it Or are you going to wait till someday? Have you ever noticed how someday never really comes? Hey, Veronica, it's very nice to have you over there at TikTok. Thank you for joining us today. So I want to talk about this just a little bit more because I think there's a lot more here for us to unload and unpack. Those three little pigs can teach us some really important lessons. So let's take a look at that. Have you ever noticed how some people, and maybe that's you, have this ability to bounce back from adversity so much easier than everyone else? They don't quit. They just say, okay, hard lesson, but I'm in it to win it. I'm not quitting on myself. Have you noticed some people, it just seems like that's just the way they are. Excuse me. Listen to me. I got a frog. I don't know what just happened there, but I'm back. And other people don't. Other people just say, that's it. I'm done. Put a nail in it. That coffin's sealed. It's dead to me. I'm not even going to touch it ever again. But the thing that's so interesting about it is that just like those three little pigs, they all face the same adversity. They face the same adversity. And pig one and pig two, man, they were giving up. They were running, they were hiding. And finally they got to pig three, who had the wherewithal to think of a solution to that wolf who decided that you can't huff and puff and blow that roof down. So he's going to get up on the roof and come down through the chimney, right? So they ended up making wolf stew out of him. Catherine, exactly. Grit. I did eat my first frog today. So what's the difference between pig one and two and pig three? Pig three, the one with the house made of bricks, the one who had the idea to boil the wolf, and the one who protected his brother and sister, or his brother and brother, I guess. I don't know. What is the difference? Well, the difference is resilience. That's the difference. Pig three was all about resilience all the way around the block, right? Resilience in his house, resilience in his work, resilience in his mindset, resilience in his creativity. Pig one and pig two, they just slapdashed and got through it, just put something up that just kind of resembled a house. Not really, because straw and sticks, it's not going to do a really good idea. And pig three, though, everything that he had was all about getting the work done and staying the course. Meanwhile, they say meanwhile Nero fiddled, right? Meanwhile, these two guys, what are they doing? They're out singing and dancing and having a good time. And don't think for a minute that pig three wasn't highly tempted. Remember how this whole thing happened. If you go back to the original fairy tale, their mother had kicked the pigs out and said, get out of here. You're too old to be living at home. So there's a lot of lessons here for us to learn. So the dictionary defines resilience, and I'm going to read this to you because I think this is really important. It defines resilience as the capacity or the ability to withstand or recover from difficult circumstances or conditions. It's toughness, mental and physical, emotional, even spiritual toughness. It's also the ability of a substance, get this, to spring back into the original shape, also known as elasticity. So, you've heard me say before, blessed are the flexible, for they will not be broken. Flexibility is a part of our path, I believe, to vibrancy. We got to keep that flexibility in place. So we can easily make a case then for the three little pigs' amazing resilience, for pig three's amazing resilience, because he had it heart, mind, body, and soul, didn't he? He thought about what he needed to do. He thought about what the plans were for his house, and he put them together and got the materials and built it. And yeah, tempted, wanted to play, this is what they were doing all the time when Mama kicked him out. Remember, Mama Pig kicked him out and said, you boys need to get on your own, go make your own houses. And they were all about just, fiddling around and playing and dilly-dallying and not really doing the work that they needed to do. But he put his all into that house. And when it came down to it, he was there for his brothers to protect them heart, mind, body, and soul just as much as he was for himself. So, what I we can glean from this then is that every experience that we have in our lives, it has the possibility of teaching us some very, very valuable lessons without us having to become a poster child of what not to do in your life. You know, we don't want to have that. We can look at what the valuable lesson is without having to relive it over and over again. There's a lesson to be extrapolated from every experience, no matter how awful. And we can take that experience and say, this is what I've learned from it. We call that the experience file because the experience file is where the value is. Reliving it over and over again and going through that emotional overwroughtness and everything else. Remember that your brain does not know the difference between actually experiencing and when you're experiencing it and you're emoting over it and what have you, and actually when you start thinking about it, it doesn't know the difference between the emotions that you're feeling and going through. It thinks that you're actually experiencing that again. That's how it is. Remember, I told you the story about the concert pianist. They did brain scans in his head, and they couldn't tell the difference when they did the brain scan of him actually playing the piano or actually pretending to play the piano because the brain scan was exactly the same. This is your brain telling you exactly what it sees. It doesn't know. All it knows, and as well, all it knows is present tense. So that past experience that you keep doing it again and again and again is now lived. It's not in the past, it's now in the present. This is why we experience trauma over and over and over again. And I don't know about you, but I just don't want to do that again, not at all. So, using the experience file method, we get to choose our path if that is the case that we're going to do and extrapolate that lesson. So, do we want to keep going or do we want to quit? Do we have the grit or do we have quit in our bones? Or are we going to give up our dreams? I've heard of people doing that before. I shared a story before. I think yesterday I shared the story of the lady who ate the Snickers bar after losing 100 pounds and decided, because she blew it with with one Snickers bar because she wasn't perfect. She just threw the whole thing out and just went back to her old ways and put on the 100 pounds and more. Isn't that sad? She gave up her dreams because of one mistake, one slip. This is something that, again, that experience fall comes in. What she could have asked herself instead, what did I learn from this? That maybe I shouldn't let myself get too hungry, or when I'm sorely tempted, maybe I need to call a friend, maybe I need to do something. She didn't even start there with the whole why matrix and the questioning of what all this was about, and instead found herself in the place of just giving up on her dreams and say, well, that's it. Here you go. Now let's just, continue on this path and go drive through a drive-through and, order a double-double. I don't know. So here's what I think Pig 3's advice would be, to those who were thinking of giving up. If Pig 3 were sitting here, resilient Pig 3, if he were sitting here and offering his little piggy advice, what would it be? Number one is you have the strength to pick yourself back up. Nobody can knock you down and keep you down without your permission. Now that is a little bit of an Eleanor Roosevelt shift on her famous quote as nobody can make you feel bad without your permission. But nobody can hold you down without your permission either. Nobody can turn you into a victim without your permission either. You can be victimized, but you do not have to put on the mantle and the identity of victim. Does that make sense? Because when we put on the identity of victim, then suddenly our identities are altered. If you want to alter your identity, alter it to something positive, not something negative. Number two, blessed are the flexible. Remember that one? Blessed are the flexible. Let me say this. You need a plan A in your life. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to go after. This is how I'm going to do it. You need a plan B in your life. If everything doesn't go according to plan, I've got this. It's what I always say. Like especially if you're doing the hot melt sprint, have something in the freezer always to support you in case you get stuck in traffic, you don't get home in time, you get hungry. Have a plan afoot just in case. When we do this, you know what happens? we have choices now. We're not pigeonholed into a corner. We're not doing something now against our will and saying, well, I couldn't help it. I was stuck in traffic and, the rest of the story. But, if we start to ask ourselves the questions like, what if? Well, can you imagine? We open the door to possibility. I say that all the time. And the reason that I say that all the time is because this is exactly what happens. It helps us to get solutions to the wolves in our lives because there are wolves around every corner. There's always somebody who doesn't want to see you thrive and do your best. It's sad but true. I mean, especially in this world of social media. And the other thing is that you never, ever, ever know what kind of a solution might pop up into your head or into your path. You know what I mean? Tiffany, is L-Glutamine safe while pregnant? It may or may not be. Can I just tell you what I would do? I would talk to my doctor about it before you take any supplement. That was a question that I have. We have a bunch of stuff going crazy over on TikTok about L-Glutamine. And user Connie over here is also asking, she says she has certain cravings and she binge eats when you're bored. Well, if try some L-Glutamine and just make a decision about this. What we're talking about today is part of the mindset piece. And let me just say this, mindset is everything. When we make a decision, we can use anything in a supplement to support a decision that we've already made mentally in our heads. But we have to get on board with what it is that we want to do, right? We can't ever just sit back and just hope for the best because we took a little L-Glutamine. We have to want it. We want to quit smoking. We want to stop binge eating, for example. We want to stop whatever it is. Your mindset is the piece that's been missing for so many years. Ask Tanya. Tanya just put it right here. Tanya, mindset is everything. Tanya lost 130 pounds, y'all. 130 pounds. And she followed the program. She did all this stuff. And let me just tell you, though, she also had the mindset wrapped right around it. Mindset's everything. And it's equal. You want to get in shape. You want to develop some muscle and be strong. Well, go get some weights. But I'm going to tell you right now, those weights are not going to lift themselves. You're going to have to get out there and you're going to have to develop a program and use those weights. That's how this whole thing works. That's how it works. There you are, review and approved. I saw your duet. Thank you so much for doing that. She said, I ordered your product and it literally works. Half the stuff on TikTok doesn't, but this does. I appreciate that so much. This does because, again, it's a psychiatrist. And I'm sorry, I'm off on a little tangent away from this, but this is important. Because when we understand, this is like, the story of the three little pigs, we have to understand that our resiliency comes from a mindset. And then it also comes from the action of doing something about it. And when we've made a decision about our lives, about what it is that we want, then we are going to avail ourselves of every single tool under the sun. But when I see, like, for example, when I see people, oh, I tried, it didn't work. And I'm like, what's your mindset about? Are you in this? Are you all about it? Are you doing this consistently? Have you read the studies? When I read science, I go crazy about that. And when, for example, my friend Kyla, Cass, who taught me how to do this, she's a psychiatrist. She knows a thing or two. She deals with addicted patients every single day. This is her first line of defense. So it is just amazing. we are talking, Janice, who just joined us, we are talking about L-Glutamine. And I will tell you in just half a second what this is all about. Let me get through this, the rest of this part here. Oh, Andrea, I'm so glad. She's using our skin cleanser and she's saying it's helping her son's acne. I know I can tell you all about that as well. Yay, I'm so glad. I'm so happy for you. Yeah, I mean, tell me about your success with our product. Every single product that we have developed is developed by a woman with women in mind, just like you and me. I want to make sure that you're well taken care of. For example, we will be discontinuing our vitamin C. Do you know why? You can get vitamin C anywhere. Our vitamin C is good. It's effective. But Our L-glutamine is a little bit different than everybody else's. It's super clean, 100% L-glutamine, and it doesn't come from the sketchy resources. That's one of the reasons why we carry what we do. Same thing with our hot melt mix, different things like that. We are very selective on the way that we do certain things. Very proud of what we carry, and the things that we carry on purpose is for purpose. So, did you see this? I used to help quit drinking and smoking. It takes the cravings away immediately. I love you. Thank you so much, Review and Approve, for showing up and doing this. This is great. This is so awesome that you are sharing all of this. So flexibility, right? Flexibility is everything. Every single woman, and you should have that in your heart. And one of the other things is step back. If something's not working for you, question it. Why? Why isn't this working? What can I do to really make sure that I'm in it 100%? When you're in it 100%, when you're giving it everything that you've got, then something can come alongside and just lift you all the way up. That's the way it all works. I've seen this over and over again. Psychological and physiological go hand in hand. That's just the way these things work. Curiosity is number 3. Curiosity. Resilience always asks the question, what if? What if? And helps to get to the solutions for the wolves in our lives. Because you know what? You might end up eating one too. Right? Am I right? You might end up eating a wolf too, just like Pig 3 did, and just slam that lid right down on top of that wolf. We are more afraid of things that we think might be than things that are. And sometimes those wolves just look like those scary hand shadows on the wall. And sometimes, yeah, they are big and ominous. And yet, we still have the capacity and still have the capability of taking down even a big bad wolf. Don't you? I know I do. You do too. Number 4 is it takes a village. Okay, you've heard that one before, right? We need each other. Did you know, though, here's something really interesting. In our DNA, it is a proven fact that we need each other in community. This is how we thrive. We thrive in community. I've shared with you before studies of lone wolf type people trying to lose weight or get sober or whatever. And what do you think that the 12-step programs are so successful? It's an automatic community. There's accountability there. There's encouragement. There's feeding your heart, mind, body, and soul every time. Although I do have some issues with the way that they treat their bodies with all the cigarettes and the smoking. They're just furthering their nutritional deficiencies from all of that stuff. But let's just go with the fact that we need that. Every single one of us, we can ask for help. We can ask for encouragement. And we know that the person that we're asking it for, they're on the same path that we are. And it's comforting to know that somebody else is there. Number 5 is high five yourself. Can I talk to you about high fiving yourself? Listen. And it's so interesting. Mel Robbins had this whole thing about high fiving yourself, but I first saw this in Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, and a really good book if you've ever read it. And one of the things that he talks about is that when we celebrate our wins by actually getting behind ourselves and like we do the workout that we were dreading and we didn't want to do, but we did it anyway. And we go, way to go, Leanne, high five. We are putting into place a new pattern, some neural pathways in your brain that connects with that good feeling. And what do you think you're doing when you do that? You are giving yourself a great big hit of dopamine. Dopamine's a feel-good hormone. It makes us feel great, doesn't it? Hey, this is what it's all about. If we can start feeling good in our skin, start seeing the resilience and the results of our resilience and the not quittingness, staying the course, what do you think happens? Everything starts to shift and everything starts to change. That's what starts to happen. Number 6 is resilient people laugh. Have you noticed that? How much do you want to bet? Okay, this I know, Pig 1, Pig 2, and Pig 3, they're fictional characters. But if I were to write the second series of that, I would say that they probably made a bunch of jokes about the wolf. Yeah, he thought he was so big and bad, but he ended up being on our dinner plate. Ha ha ha. They made jokes, don't you think? I'm just saying. Sometimes you gotta laugh at yourself. You gotta laugh at the little oopsies that you make in your life and stop taking yourself so darn seriously. You know, take yourself a little less seriously. Do you know why? Let me tell you exactly why. It diffuses the situation and helps you shift into focus onto the important stuff. Onto the important stuff. Lloydette, good for you. Just review, look at what Review and Approve said and stay the course, okay? Listen to what I'm saying. Stay the course. I want to hear about you doing this. I'm so excited for you. When we diffuse the course, when we diffuse the situation and shift and focus on what needs fixing, then we can start saving our emotional capital for those things that deserve the emotional capital. Loving up our children, our families, our spouses. This is what we do. And when we do this, then we shift the entire dynamic of what's going to happen in our lives. The focus changes, therefore our attention changes, therefore our energy shifts as well. And when that happens, then we can change it. We can absolutely 100% change it. We can't when we're just sitting there hand wringing and saying, oh my gosh, everything is so awful. Scatabi, you can get it at savingdinner.com/stop craving. That's where you can get it. So hear me on this. We started on Monday with this whole thing, this quote, remember it? A wise woman builds her house, but a foolish one tears it down with her own hands. Well, I say a wise woman builds her house with bricks of resilience, with grit, with stamina, with persistence, and with consistency. Now I have a question for you. Don't you think it's time to start getting built on the vibrant life that you want to live? The one that you see in your mind's eye, the one that gets you excited and fuels that hot desire in your heart for what it is that you want in life. If so, it's time to get out the materials and start building exactly what it is that you want. You have the capacity for it. You have the ability for it. And guess what? If you're here, you've got the community for it as well. That's what I like. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate the fact that you show up day after day. Don't forget about tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thirsty Thursday. We're going to wrap our series on this whole thing. So 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook, YouTube, and on TikTok as well. I appreciate you all. If there's anything I can ever do to help you, you know how to reach out. Send an email into support@savingdinner.com. I'm there for you. Promise. Peace be with you. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.